Hello everyone, this is CJ Novo 992 and today we're back for another brand new video. Today's our video, we are here because there's another game upon the horizon. Now unfortunately for us all that's going to be watching the game, that game's versus Kilmarnock. But as always, before we dive in to today's video, a quick little shout to the channel sponsors and the channel legends themselves, OneFootball, who have a free footballing app, and if you want some football news, link for that is down there in the description below. Now though, it's time for some business then, shall we? And as we all know, clicking on today's video, we are versus Kilmarnock, and I can't believe I'm about to say this out loud. However, this might be the best time to ever play Kilmarnock because of what happened last week versus Livingston. Now I'm sorry for bringing it back up again, but it is important to actually go back and remember because we weren't good enough in that game, right? We never created pretty much anything to the last 50 minutes. We were limited by a team who sat back and on a complete and utter lockdown. Never mind a low block. This was a bona fide part the boss lockdown. And that right there is exactly how Kilmarnock are going to be playing in this game, or at least that's what they showed versus Celtic, where they did go ahead and made them drop points and only limited them to 2 shots on target, which is simply unheard of. But they managed to do that because they just dug in deep and defended their box and forced Celtic to shoot from range. Honestly, the similarities between how Livingston set up and Kilmarnock set up versus the top two is nearly identical, and it's actually quite scary. When I was doing my notes for today's video, I went back and looked at my Livingston notes and they're nearly the exact same. But you might be thinking to yourself, CJ, we dropped points on Sunday. Why is this a best time to play Kilmarnock if they're going to set up and do the exact same thing? Have you finally lost your marbles, mate? We've all been waiting, and I mean the jury's out on that. But I actually see this more as an opportunity for these Rangers players and even the Rangers management and the staff to go out in this game versus Kilmarnock and show that we have learned our lessons for the past couple of seasons. We aren't going to repeat the same mistakes. That on Sunday right there was just a blip on the road. It can happen. It was just an off night. We know how to get the ball down. We know how to break down this low block, and we know how to create chances versus this team, because let's not forget St Mirren and St Johnstone set up the exact same way, but our quality shone through in those games. It didn't versus Livingston, but this versus Kilmarnock gives us an opportunity to get back on the right track. Now, in saying all that, there is one obviously major key difference in this game versus Kilmarnock than our game versus Livingston, or even Kilmarnock's game versus Celtic, and that's the fact that it's going to be played on grass. Now, I know some people's going to be diving into the comments and CJ, you can't use the plastic park as an excuse. No, I never do. Watch my videos, mate. I always say the players get plenty of practice, but it is a matter of fact that both Old Firm teams have dropped points this season, and both Old Firm teams dropped points on plastic parks. But plastic pish and all that to one side, there has been a lot said about Rangers coming in this game, and rightly so. We do dominate pretty much every news outlet in Scotland. But what about from a Kilmarnock perspective, right? Because we know they had that very good result versus Celtic, but what have they done since that? Were they able to build up on it? Well, no. In fact, the only other points that they've got since that 1-1 draw with Celtic was a 2-2 draw away from home versus Ross County. And from that game, they'd be very, very disappointed they didn't go ahead and pick up all 3 points. They actually carry that into their most recent game, where once again they are very disappointed in not picking up maximum points. In this game, it was a home game versus St Johnstone, and they were utterly dominant and in complete and utter cruise control, it has to be said, until they went down to 10 men. But for the next 5-10 minutes or so, they were still alright, but they started to just tweak a little bit, and St Johnstone started to turn the old heater up, and St Johnstone ended up hitting them for 2 late goals and snatching up all 3 points from Rugby Park, including a 94th minute winner for Michael O'Halloran. I don't know what could be worse. Now, the way they've actually been setting up this season is slightly different from what they've been doing over the last couple of seasons, well, against everyone else in the league, that is, because they're playing a now 4-3-3 with a big man up top. Now, they did start the season off playing a 4-2-3-1, but they've kind of tweaked that and changed it to trying to be a bit more quicker and getting up the park, apart from obviously the game versus Celtic, where they did line up in a 4-3-3, but as we saw versus Livingston, these formations and the way they set up didn't really exist, because how they actually played versus Celtic was a 6-3-1, and it worked wonders versus them, and I'm pretty damn sure that's exactly what we'll be seeing Namora. But regarding the Kilmarnock team news coming into this game versus Rangers, they're obviously missing suspended right back Millen, who was sent off in the game versus St Johnstone. But Brophy, who's caused us a hell of a lot of problems, especially over the last maybe 12 to 18 months, he isn't expected to play, or start I should say, in this game versus Kilmarnock, because they have tweaked their way of playing under Dyer, and that's playing the big man Kimbemba up top, who is an absolute animal. He really manhandled that Julian guy for Celtic and just ran him ragged, and that's the way they'll be looking to play versus Rangers. The long high balls, getting it to him. He's very good at bringing the ball down. He's very, very clever winning cheap free kicks and getting his team up there, and he's obviously a goal scoring threat as well. So you're not going to be seeing Brophy running about doing his wee mad things until he obviously gets subbed on. The rest of the Kilmarnock team is expected to be about the same after Dyer's been very, very vocal this week in calling out his players and demanding more from his experienced players, and sort of calling out the self-destruction versus the likes of St Johnstone. So I think they're all going to be coming into this game no really any thoughts of going forward, but I think they're going to use this as an exercise to keep that back door shut and get that defence back on track. And with that being said, that's a sort of done and dusty from the Kilmarnock side of things. Now let's turn a wee bit and dive deeper into the Rangers perspective then, shall we? Because as you'll know, there's been a hell of a lot of conversation, there's been a hell of a lot of debate on our persistence in playing these two defensive midfielders in games versus teams that aren't even interested in getting in and over their own half. Now the argument could be the reason teams aren't getting over the halfway line is because of the two defensive midfielders sweeping up, getting us the ball back and recycling possession. That's definitely a thing I've seen a hell of a lot of, and I can understand from that perspective. But I do agree, and I'm sort of leaning on the sides of, we can start off like that if we want, right, just to control and manage the game, but when we need to go ahead and win a game, I'm getting a bit frustrated with the persistence with these two defensive midfielders. When we're chasing a game, why not take one of them off and really go after it? That is the hopes and dreams of a lot of our Rangers fans, just to become a bit more ruthless and maybe show a wee bit less respect to teams, because we're very respectful, we set up the same way, we try and control it, we try and go after it, but maybe we should start being a little bit less respectful and just say, we're Rangers Football Club, we've got better players than you, and we're going to show it. But listen, those hopes and dreams that a lot of us have about just being ruthless and really going after these teams are probably going to remain hopes and dreams, because this is what the gaffer had to say about all this discussion. The fans are entitled to their opinion. Yes, I was frustrated after Sunday, but it is no time to panic, and we were only one goal away from the perfect start to the season. End quote. And to be fair to the gaffer, he is 100% spot on. If we did go ahead and win that game of football, that would have been the best start since the 40s, keeping clean sheets in every single win. But let's backtrack a wee bit. We didn't win that game, and when the inevitable comes where we are in the exact same position as we found ourselves versus Livingston, I do hope we are learning and we are willing to adjust and change and make attacking changes a bit quicker. But moving away from that discussion, because by God, is there another just can of worms opened up during this week's press conference, as Steven Gerrard confirmed Leeds United have officially bid for Ryan Kent, and that bid was taken like this and just slammed into the ground like that, because by God, if you saw the way Steven Gerrard spoke about that offer, it was almost like they offered a shit-filled nappy for Ryan frickin' Kent. Honestly, after about the second or third minute of Gerrard talking about how bad that bid was, I was sat back and went, has he done a comedy roast on Leeds United? I was expecting a Brian Clough joke at some point for Steven Gerrard, but he pulled in the reins and went to confirm that it's nowhere near of evaluation. He does not want to sell him. How vital Ryan Kent is to the entire thing they've been building over the last 3 years, and more importantly, he went and confirmed that yes, he has spoken to Ryan Kent, but Ryan Kent doesn't want to go anywhere, and he's fully focused on the game tomorrow. And that's honestly my biggest takeaway from the Ryan Kent to Leeds saga that is building. Gerrard has confirmed that the bid was nowhere near the evaluation. He's not for sale anyway, and Ryan Kent doesn't want to go. That's all I really need to know, in my opinion. Now, that good feeling of knowing Kent doesn't want to go anywhere and he's here for the fight does get watered down and just kind of cut in half slightly as Gerrard continued to talk about the team news and injury updates for this game versus Kilmarnock, because we found out that 1, Leon Balogun is officially ruled out, but 2, so is Joe Aribo. And I'm saying it like that because I do feel that Joe Aribo is the bigger miss in this game, and that's no me taking anything away for the big man. I think Leon Balogun has looked absolutely amazing in his 1.5 games for Rangers Football Club, but I'm not gone berserk yet and losing my mind. It is only 1.5 games, and the person who's came back in for him, you know, I rate very, very highly, by the name of Philippe Hollander, and that guy hasn't put a foot wrong since he's came back into the door. So I think that position sorts itself, but it's the second position, it's the Joe Aribo position that does make me worry about how we play when he is in there, because there is a difference between this style of play to last season. Whether you're upset about Livingston or no, there is, and it's Joe Aribo, and it's the freedom that he brings to the rest of the team to be able to interchange, and it's his vision, it's his intelligence that knows exactly where everyone is, and he can find them. And when he wasn't there to unlock the door to the low block like he did versus St Johnstone and he did versus St Mirren, what happened? Absolutely nothing versus Livingston. We brought in Scotty Arfield, who, you know, big fan of, absolutely love the guy, but he spent more time running into Hadji than he did running in and getting involved in the play. But I'm remaining hopeful given the fact we've had an actual entire week to prepare for this game, and they've known now that Joe Aribo wasn't going to be able to play in this game. Scotty Arfield and the team would have been able to sort up to know exactly what they want from Scotty Arfield, because we know he's all go and he'll give you everything, but he was just running about and getting involved in absolutely nothing versus Livingston. And if he is going to fill the massive gap that is left by the talented Joe Aribo, we need to get the best out of him and get him clicking along nicely. No running into the same runs as Morelos is making when he's dropping deep. No running into Hadji who's trying to cut inside. It needs to all sync perfectly as it does when Aribo's there. But again, as I just said there, I'm hoping with the week we've had to prepare for this game, it will all be clicking and it'll be ticking nicely, and we'll get to see Scotty Arfield doing what he does best, is dropping one of these and usually smashing a goal or two in. But with that being said, that is the presser all wrapped up in a neat little bow. Now it's time to get to some latest team news regarding the rest of the squad, because finally we got injury updates on Alan McGregor. I've been waiting 3 weeks for this, but we got it, and it was actually pretty good news. Alan McGregor is back amongst training. He had his first full session yesterday, so it might be just a little too soon for him to jump in among the sticks, and if I'm honest, John McLaughlin's been absolutely brilliant anyway, so I don't think we'll see McGregor tomorrow again. We might do, because he is that leader and he is very, very vocal to drive the team on, but I don't see us rushing him back in, because again, McLaughlin's been very, very good. We also got an update regarding Jermaine Defoe, who is still on a very healthy timeline. There's been no injury, like setbacks or anything, and he is still expected to return back after the winter break. So that's it. That is the oppositional preview. That is the wee discussion about Rangers, and that is the official press conference and latest team news wrapped up. Now it's time for me to hand it over to you guys, because now you know just a little bit more about the game tomorrow. What do you think, and what do you think is going to happen, and what we'll see in the game? Well, you guys are hopefully getting your thoughts and opinions out there. I'll give you mine very, very briefly. Despite as much as I want to go out there and say 4-5-0 and get on that hype train, because we all know I love a cheeky wee hype train, I am thinking it is going to be another frustrating time. I think Joe Aribo is going to be a massive, massive loss, so I am going to go with a nervy, nippy bum time 2-0 win. I think we're going to have to wait ages for that first goal, but when we get it, Kilmarnock will be forced to come out a little bit, and that's when we'll go ahead and we'll kill the game off. A cheeky grey hair turner, but what more do we expect now for supporting this team? My goal scorers are going to be pretty damn easy. Tavernier and your man, Ryan Kent. And now that me and thee have had their say, let's sit back, relax, and hear from the people then shall. There's been 1,274 votes, and there's still 54 minutes remaining. That's filthy, nation. Thank you so much for getting involved. 3% votes for Kilmarnock, 9% votes for the draw, but the final away winner is a home win with 88%. That is what you expect to see. Deacon Neil writes in, think we'll take a bit to break them down, but expect our quality to shine through. Gonna go 3-0 though, CJ, with Kent, Barisic and Roof off the bench. Kenny McCall writes in, I reckon it'll be an easy 2-0. I'll take that. Take it. Deal. That draw against Livy would have scared Gerrard into hyperdrive. For the next 2 months, I'm expecting some good games, similar to how we play in Europe, to try and get the fans back. Anything less than 110% is not good enough. CJ Stevie Brown writes in 3-1, mate. Morelos to score 2. Big Cedric getting his first. That would require us actually crossing the ball and the target man, Stevie. That would be nice, instead of crossing into Morelos and Jermaine Defoe at the time, and then we absolutely get a target man, we play at his feet. Honestly, I think it's the Truman Show I'm stuck in here, and it's just made to get mere grey hairs for me. Andrew Tate writes in, shit myself about this one, CJ, but I'm going to go 2-0. Mark Hale writes in 3-0 to Rangers. Steve-O writes in 1-0 Rangers. Barker to come on and score. Jai writes in solid 3-0. Want to avenge what happened at Levy. Alfie, Itten and Bonnebear Barisic with a free kick. Rangers Dubai 72 writes in 2-0 to Rangers with Jack and Connor Goldson with the goals. Love to see Connor getting some love. Fita Bix writes in 1-0, will be hard to watch. Scott writes in hopefully a nice 2-0 win. Buff and Kent to score. And the last one we'll read out in tonight's video. We'll scroll all the way up, we'll scroll all the way down, and we'll stop it right here. And the last one comes in from Joe Patterson, and Joe writes in 3-0 Kent and a roof double. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. You've heard from the people, you've heard from myself. If you haven't done so already, you know what to do by now. And as always, I've been CJ Novo 992. Thank you so much for watching, and bye. Where's this one made?